words about this speaker today. You all already know him. Some of you have worked with him as well. But Madhusudan Singh is an industry veteran who spent about 2.5 decades of experience with the top names in the industry. Mahindra Singh, NTT Data has studied in the top schools in the country as well. IUC and IIM. So, me and Madhu sir have been working over the last couple of months on how delivery teams today can become faster, cheaper, larger, and better. And Madhu sir has definitely opened my eyes into the insights of this industry in IT. And what we hope is that you get to see these insights from real clients from the industry as it's happening today. So, Madhusun sir, over to you. Please go ahead and take us to the session.
Thanks, Rishabh. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome for the webinar. I just want to mention that this is not a technology webinar per se. I'm not talking about the various models that have started evolving, the startups that have been using. It's my perspective about the adoption of artificial intelligence in the enterprise, the good and not so good perspectives. So I want to give a 360-degree perspective of AI adoption within the enterprises. And finally, I summarize and say that how best we could adopt AI in enterprises. So that's basically the agenda for the session today. And let's keep it interactive. And if you have any questions at any point of time, please do ask me, and let's keep it interactive and free flowing discussion during the next hour. It's a Sunday evening, a Sunday afternoon. Let's keep it interactive and then I'll start as soon as we are done. Some statistics to start with. Over years, adoption of AI is growing very rapidly. 78% are already using, and the number is 90% companies who are using or exploring the use of AI in the enterprise. And by 2030, that's in 5 years, the, the AI market is expected to be around 1.85 trillion. So almost a $2 trillion market is expected in the next 5 years. With that being said, it's reported that only 50% employees receive little or no training at work. And what is that metric that I'm mentioning here is what I will try to explain in the subsequent slides. This is not to say that they are not trained. There are a lot of people who are exploring AI personally. Yes, they are using ChatGPT and all other different technologies that are available for us. And in India itself, we are seeing how the companies are promoting AI very, very, aggressively. So that is happening on a personal level. But this number is at work. Only 50% of employees receive training at work. And what is the implications is what I'll talk about in the later slides. So here I try to look at what are the mentions of AI in corporate reports and earning calls within in this year. The reason why I mention is this is useful to know how seriously AI is being considered within the enterprise. A very high percentage of Fortune 500 companies are mentioning AI in their reports and earning calls, and 22% explicitly highlight Gen AI and or LLMs. So yes, definitely these numbers show that corporates are considering AI very, very, seriously, and they want to implement AI in their corporates very quickly. And in these reports and calls, what are the various themes that they are talking about? One is adoption in the enterprise. What is the impact that AI is going to have? How much are the investment required? And what are the risks involved? And how soon they can adopt AI in comparison to their peers. So these are the four key themes that are used by that are mentioned by corporates during these reports and the calls. So we have seen that some more corporates have already started, you know, kicks, kicking off programs already. JP Morgan has the vision to become world's fully AI powered mega bank. And what that means is that they want to have an AI assistant for each banker. They have already started deploying agentic AI to handle tasks, and they have the capability to create an investment banking deck in 30 seconds. Earlier that they mentioned that this work was done by junior bankers working late nights or maybe night overnight. Now this work they say is can be done in 30 seconds. So what they have done is they have created a LLM suite which is using Anthropic and other models, and this is actually tapping it into the various applications of JP Morgan and the documentation to be able to create this deck. For example, bankers from JP Morgan have to talk to senior execs for investors. This deck can be created very quickly. Similarly, they want that long-term vision is being, as I said, each banker should have a AI assistant, and for investors, they want to have a AI concierge. So that way, they want to have a completely AI powered mega bank. That is the vision that they are having. And they say that they are fundamentally rewiring the enterprise. What this means that they are redefining the workflows, they are ensuring that AI is embedded in their processes, and they are tweaking the processes along with the AI implementations. The CIO apparently had a offsite where he mandated that AI has to be used extensively within the bank, and all the bankers had to learn how to embed AI in their processes. So that is what JP Morgan has already started. Citi, on the other hand, have started a mandatory training program for their employees, and employees have already entered more than 6 million prompts in their tools. Finally, Goldman Sachs, they have launched a program 1GS 3.0 for different areas. You can see the areas I just mentioned it on the slide, and these points that are there are typical use cases where AI is being adopted in all enterprise: onboarding, lending, reporting, vendor management. Typical use cases where AI is being adopted within the corporates. So I've purposely divided the adoption by corporates, and in the next slide I've talked about technology companies, because here if you see it's functional processes where AI is being adopted and processes being rewired. These are the programs underway by these leading bankers. So that's a observation that I had, I want to share it with you that this is already in place. So while City, I can say has started talking about you know helping their employees to enter prompts. JP Morgan, on the other hand, is already deploying agentic AI, and Goldman Sachs has started the program to implement area in few processes that they have identified. So each one of them are in different phases in the program, and we can say that they are already having a pathway that they have defined where they seem to be adopting AI and how to embed their employees as part of the journey. And JP Morgan have actually started, you know, helping from the top down. The leadership has been helping their employees to adopt AI. City has been promoting AI with the help of training programs, and Goldman Sachs already identified use cases. So the common theme that you can see is all these bankers they have started using AI in their programs already. Going to the next slide. So this is the technology companies as I said, Google, Meta, Amazon, Netflix, and you can see below the different tools where they are using AI. For Google, it's about using in search, assistant, YouTube, photos, Waymo, Duplex, Gemini. Nothing different. You know that it's already being used, and we have seen it when we are watching you know them in a daily basis. Meta is also using them for metaverse, virtual assistants, social content, feed ranking, ads, content creation. Amazon, on the other hand, is not only using them for Alexa, Amazon Go, they're also using it for AWS for enterprise clients. In AWS, they are helping users to upload Gen AI and custom AI models, and they're also including automated workflows. Netflix, again, personalized viewing recommendations, adaptive streaming, and content creation is what use case that they are using. So these I want to mention the previous slide and this one is about the good aspect of how AI is already being adopted in the BFS segment and the technology companies. Now we go into the not so good area as far as I'm concerned. So I go into the bad side of adoption. First, again, I've divided it to three areas: hallucinations, shadow AI, and threats. Hallucination is basically, material that's generated by AI, which is looks realistic but not accurate. Being able to generate fake images and videos which are not exactly accurate. That is what comes under the hallucinations of AI, and this is something that is well known in the industry. So you can see that some images are created which are not exactly accurate, and that's why if you look at all the tools, they also mention that you know AI may not be exactly accurate. So they give that disclaimer when they generated images or videos. And hallucination again is very serious for some of the developer communities where what happens is when they try to get support from their for their coding, there are methods that are mentioned by AI where it talks about methods that do not exist, but they still say that you can use these methods for the work that you are looking to do, but in fact the reality is those methods may not exist. So those are the types of hallucinations that exist in AI. And one of my developer friend mentioned that this is the case in development as well, not just the tools that generate images and videos, even on the coding side as well. Shadow AI, that's a serious aspect that we need to take care. So what happens is when people use AI in their personal life, they use they search for different aspects and they look at things that are probably, they try to upload some information and try to create summaries out of it. What happens is if they continue to do this at work, they may not be able to identify what happens to the data that they are sharing with the model and whether it's really sensitive data, and maybe it's not, you know then it's not being aware of the seriousness of sharing this data to the models, how it could be used once it goes to the model. So as I mentioned there, without understanding the risks, the employees could use AI. And that's where the training aspects come into picture. How exactly you can use data uploads and using AI by understanding the risks that are involved. That is where the corporates need to help train the employees on how to use AI in a very safe environment. And also now you can see that Salesforce and Microsoft have started incorporating AI features, and in the next upgrades, those come into picture. And what happens is, again, employees do not understand what they are happy that yes, AI features are enabled now, I can start using them. And instead, that's what is required, that governance and oversight is very, very important for corporates to ensure that employees are not carried away by the speed aspect that they know can be incorporated in the work by adopting AI. So the guardrails is what is has to be put in place to ensure that usage of AI tools are in line with the CISO standards. So that is something that the corporates have to be very careful of. Which brings me to the next point of threats. So that there are these groups, malware groups, which actually use AI to do a lot of harm to enterprises. How do they do that? One example that is quoted regularly is they use synthetic voices. They know that what are the type of examples that are asked by the employees to the IT teams. For example, password reset. So they generate voices and send them to the IT team posing as employees and ensure that they can target the systems to do criminal activities. That's what these two groups are well versed, very famous for. And that is where shadow AI and these groups together can form a threat to the enterprises. And this has to be taken care very quickly by the CISO team within any enterprises. Again, the talk is about misconfigurations. So what happens is now AWS has got AI capability embedded, and they can create code autonomously. And then what could happen is these databases are not taken care of, credentials are defaulted, permissions are exposed, which can lead to a lot of attacks on systems. So this has to be taken care by the administrations, and the IT team have ensure to take care that these tools are covered and monitored properly. So that is the bad side of adoption that I want to highlight here. And what is the statistics that talk about this is what I'll cover in the next slide. So this is about fake receipts. So in September month alone, there's a financial management platform, SaaS platform, Absent, and they identified 14% of fake receipts were AI generated. So all receipts were generated by AI and submitted to the tool for enterprises that use this Absent platform. Similarly, there's a fintech company, Ramp, which is used by enterprises for taking care of their invoicing, and they detected $1 million or more worth of fake invoices within a 3-month period. So this is how AI is being misused within enterprises by the ability to generate images, and this is where we should be taking care of the misuse that happens within enterprises. And some results from the cost of data breach report from IBM came out in July end, which highlighted that security and governance with respect to AI is also critical as much as AI adoption. Some statistics of enterprises that were surveyed, 20% of the enterprises faced breaches and average cost was $670,000. And of the surveyed organizations, they said 63% had no governance or are still developing plans. So the security adoption for enterprises is still evolving. Some have developed, many of them are still in the process of developing plans for AI breaches. There's also this aspect of paradox of AI adoption I want to highlight. So while AI adoption has made faster breach responses and lowered cost of solving these breaches, but without proper oversight, new risk can also escalate very quickly. So we know that just we keep mentioning the aspect very repeatedly that diamond can cut another diamond. So AI is also falling under the same bracket. Using usage of AI can also have its pluses and minuses. So adopting AI by enterprises can also be a positive, but it can be attacked by another enterprise which is using AI to generate new malware as well. So the message is that it has both positives and negatives for us to take care of. Now I'll come to the ugly side of adoption, where a lot of enterprises have looked at laying off people. The number that I've seen in terms of the different layoffs that have happened is 100,000 employees. And I feel sorry that it's 100,000 families that are impacted by the adoption of AI globally. The layoff is happening by adopting AI, and the budget being shifted towards AI from other positions that are already existing. So Microsoft have laid off already 15,000 employees in this year, and the CEO has already mentioned 30% of the code is now being written by AI today. Whether it's 100% proper, we do not know yet, but that's the claim that the CIO has already talked about. But the impact is already 15,000 employees have been laid off in Microsoft. Google, on the other hand, have carried out multiple rounds where they are shifting the spend to the AI groups. They have cut R&D roles and user experience design, and focus is shifted to AI infrastructure. Similarly, Amazon has done a lot of work towards production, and they're moving their budgets to AI areas. The impacted areas, as you can see, recruitment, inventory forecasting, internal support. So customer service, again, the same point keeps appearing again and again. Typical use cases where AI can respond is where these corporates have started adopting and then doing subsequent layoffs. So, how can leaders guide the team during AI adoption? So, three different skills is what Wharton scientists have mentioned that leaders can guide the teams, and how exactly these skills will help the teams. As we all know, AI's technology is is advancing very rapidly. The team members have to be very regularly upgrading themselves on what is happening within the technology, and being flexible to revise the changes that they have done and ensure that they reconsider the approach that they have taken earlier, and maybe you know unlearn what they have learned recently and relearn whatever is in the AI technology with the latest changes. So that's the flexibility that employees should have going forward. Leaders should also adopt emotional intelligence where they support employees during this change and try to convince them that yes, this is not a one off digital transformation that's happening, but once the transformation activity happens, there's still further upgrades that happens within the technology further, and that means that similar changes again will happen, and that's where the employees need to be engaged continuously, and they need to look for different changes, how they can further enhance the productivity and the ROI of incorporating AI in their workplace. Curiosity is another aspect. Employees need to be engaged, and they have to be open to adopt new technologies, be ready to anticipate future trends, and managers should always support the team to develop skills to ensure success in the new landscape. These are the different skills that will be important in the going near future, as and when this AI adoption happens in the enterprises. So the overall enterprise strategy should be augment, not replace. The right guardrails should be built in. Business users should be should not experiment. Oversight should be in place. The security team should ensure that all tools are vetted, the right monitoring, the right purchases are put in place just like other software, and only after their approvals should the AI tools be incorporated and be allowed for users to work with. This is very, very serious aspect that the enterprises should be looking for. The second aspect is about how to get the best ROI, redesigning the workflow, drive the change from top down, from the leadership, while giving the teams the support, saying that what's happening in the industry that whole lot of enterprises already started laying off employees. So the leadership should give that comfort, saying that yes, your job is not going away tomorrow. We are bringing in this technology to augment your work, improve your productivity, and not replace you. That's where I mentioned it's augment, not replace. So technology training and coaching the right mindset will be very critical for the enterprise. And the corporates need to move to the desired end state by linking AI with their business strategy. How exactly will they bring in the next stage of AI, and how will their business strategy change as per the AI adoption that will happen? For example, today you are having Gen AI and you move to agents and then you are moving to agentic AI. How in each phase is the business getting impacted? How are you rewiring the business as per these different changes in AI adoption is what has to be linked together. And JP Morgan case study that I mentioned is very nicely built, is something that all of us can take example from and see how they are doing it in a very nice way. Finally, the point I want to mention is empowering the teams. So as rapid adoption of AI keeps happening, only by continuous training the employees, the pace is possible for teams to ensure that they also evolve. Not just training, but empowering them to ensure that integrating AI with the different applications that exist in the ecosystem is also useful. Teams should work with the partners. So you have got already, AI, LLM ops, AI ops, all the teams in place, maybe driven by partners. So enterprise team and partners should work together to ensure that best ROI can come out of this entire transformation journey. And each group will have different models being implemented, different durations of changes, and they need to move out of pilots in a phased manner. And once one moves out of pilot to production, then the lessons learned should be used by the different groups for their deployment, and hence that will help in making the overall program a success. So here The reason why I mention is for best outcome, technology and people together have to come. Train the people to safeguard themselves, empower them to explore the latest tools, motivate them to share best practices. So maybe it's a good idea to have separate environments where the employees can play around with the latest models and see how they can, rewrite their area within using the latest models in a safer sub environment, for example, sub network. So that way, the if there is any damage, it's controlled. So maybe something like a environment where employees can be let loose in their applications and models, and they be given the freedom to play around with their areas, and they should be maybe motivated to learn from these models and how they can experiment with different practices, and then they should be also allowed to share that within the group and the rest of the enterprise. Those are the three steps I feel to go together. They can achieve the best outcome. That's my take on how AI implementation can be best achieved within an enterprise. I hope this gave a lot of value to everyone who joined the session.
Hi, Madhu. I have something to
Sure.
say. So the enablers and productivity enhancements are all good. I mean, that's fine. But real business use cases where you are using AI, now, from what I have understood, you can't be 100% sure that the answer is 100% sure or always correct. So, first thing is like you are creating a portfolio, you are making a business decision or something. You probably cannot have a 95% correct answer. You want to have a 100% correct answer. And not 90% of the time it will be accurate. No. I want 100% of the time to be accurate as well as 100% accurate in the answer. So, how reliable is AI at this stage in using in critical business cases?
Yeah, so Sunny, what I mentioned is we should look at how much, for example, your question, it's basically you're asking the LLM a question and the LLM is responding back to you. So you
Correct.
need to know until what time or point of time you tell the LLM, okay, now you answer, rather than again going and checking back into your database. So that
Correct.
testing can be done, and that's where the pilot implementation is useful. So you actually go back and say that, okay, now I know that I have a good answer to go back to Stanley for his question. Don't go further and keep searching. I think
So
that point of
sufficiently
time,
So sufficiently large number of people need to keep trying it till we reach a point when you think sufficient data is there, the model has been trained sufficiently. So as of now, I would say these are all POCs or pilots at
pilots.
this.
Yes, Stanley.
Mhm. And this other aspect you said employee. I think
Mm.
from an enterprise perspective, employee is only a means to an end, not an end by itself. So if the ROI justifies and it means that lesser number of employees, I think organizations would do it without thinking. I mean, we as an employee look at it, it's a transition period or a disruption period.
Correct.
But from a business perspective, it is just another way of like, you have built another automation part to your business process, right?
True.
And how I was thinking that the testing and BPO and those kind of, I mean, from a services perspective, IT services perspective, BPO and all are affected. How much of this AI is used in BPOs and all right now? Is it considerably? Has it been impacting the resource count significantly?
It's differed, Stanley. Some of them have used it successfully. There's another bank, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, where what they've done is they've implemented AI, and they actually let some people go. And then what happened is they got a huge number of calls on their line, and they had to bring back people. And I would say that implementation of the AI was probably not done right. Maybe that's the reason why it failed. I think the amount of, as you mentioned, the amount of testing, the amount of correctness of the LLM is what is required to ensure that the entire program is successful. That is number one. Secondly, the program also, in terms of development, what is happening is vibe coding, for example. So, AWS team itself, they've actually started letting junior members go, and they're having only the senior level to review the code that is getting generated by AI programs.
Okay, okay.
So that way, what is happening is you're having only the senior level and AI, no junior team. And then the question that comes up later on is what will happen later? You will not have the anyone to take care at the senior level. Your junior level is gone. So that way, the organizations have still to evolve, and it's still not 100% there yet, Sandy. I think it's still evolving. I will not say that everyone is at the agentic AI level. LLMs is yes, you can you know uh, link all your applications, your documentation, get good data back from your LLMs, and you can create content to showcase to your customers. But whether you are ready right now, ready to actually be a complete agentic AI application, agent AI enterprise, not yet. I do not see any enterprise which is ready to that extent today.
Okay.
I
So
think
these
the
are
vision is
currently
there
at
to become
currently it is just a productivity improvement,
correct.
and the recommendation would be to tread slowly and
Yes.
carefully at this point of time.
And take the help of the employee. So as I said, augmented the employees with
Okay.
the AI, not
Okay, not
replace.
replace.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Any other questions, Krishna, Gauranga sir? Or you can share your experience and your observations on what you have seen in the industry also.